all season long. Football, basketball, volleyball, and more. You'll see it right here on Marauders Weekly.
Welcome to Marauders Weekly, everyone. Well, while every other Marauders team was on the road this weekend, the men's and women's basketball teams were just starting a 4-game homestand at the MAC and also celebrating Alumni Weekend. And the team that plays the first game in those doubleheaders every weekend is the women's team. So we have them joining us first today. Rick Newman, as always, head coach. And today we have two of the players, Danny Williams and Hannah Larson. So welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course. Well, Coach, we start out on Friday with St. Cloud State. Huskies coming in at 6-6, pretty evenly matched with you guys, except depth continuing to be an issue, and even more so this weekend with Danny Clark being out with an ankle injury. How did that affect the game plan for this one?
Well, one thing it did is move Danny Williams into the starting lineup. So, that was a little bit of a change for us. We like Danny's productivity off the bench, give us a little bit of a spark offensively. So we knew we were going to lose that. But on the lighter side, it made my week a little bit easier because instead of having to yell a first and last name with Danny all the time, I could just yell at Danny and she knew I was talking to her the whole time. So that part was easier.
Yes, well, Danny, as Newman said, you guys, you are usually coming in for Danny Clark, and now your job in this week's game increased a little bit with her being out. So how does it help, though, to know that you guys can rely on a number of different people coming into the game to be able to provide that spark on offense or defense?
It's a great feeling. I think we have a lot of depth overall on our bench. It's hard not having Danny. She's a big asset to our team, but I think we did a good job without her, and we definitely needed her on the bench to cheer us on.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a look at the highlights from Friday night against the Huskies. The Huskies, they jumped out to a 5-point lead, but Brittany Dietz cut that to 3, going hard to the left side. St. Cloud still up 9-6. And then it was Haley Hibbs looking a lot more comfortable at the point now at the halfway point of the season. Nice crossover down the lane. She gets the bucket and the foul. She made the foul shot, and that would tie the game up at 9. Then it's Hibbs again. Marauders in transition. Danny Williams finds her on the wing. UMary takes its first lead of the game about 5 minutes into this one. Marauders were very strong defensively. Hannah Larson comes up with the block. Then Gabby Wilkinson and Rachel Weir team up for the steal. Get it. Weir gets it ahead to Gabby, and that would result in a bucket for the Marauders. Now, Coach, the Huskies had 14 turnovers in the first half, and many of those were forced by some tough D from you guys. What did you see from the girls defensively in this one?
I thought we did a better job of guarding the ball this game than we have in a while, and what that did is that allowed some of our secondary defenders to be able to do a better job on their girl instead of always having to help the primary defender, and that's when you see, like the play that you saw here with Hannah being able to get a block.
Well, with a smaller lineup in for the Marauders, Sloan Turner out at this point in the game, and Carissa, captain, she would take advantage inside for the Huskies, backs down Larson and gets the bucket to pull the Huskies within 1. But after this, Dietz hitting a career milestone just under 10 minutes into the game. That 3 would give her her 1,000th career point. So a great moment for Brittany and for the Marauders. With Danny Clark out, some of the other shooters stepping up, as we talked about before. There's Williams. That one from downtown put the Marauders up 11. But UMary would be up 4 at the half, but then Amanda Christensen gets the bucket, and the Huskies would go up 6 at this point in the second. They would break open a 10-point lead, trying to crawl their way back in as the Marauders, and Dietz gets that one to make it 67-59, and then Danny Williams makes it a 6-point game, taking it all the way to the other end after a steal, but foul shots would make the difference at the end of this game. Huskies a perfect 8 for 8 from the line in the second half, and they would come out on top of this game by a score of 75-66. Brittany Dietz finished with 20, the high for her team, and she finished with 1,007 career points. Danny Williams had 13 points and 7 rebounds, and afterwards I talked a little bit to Brittany about having only 8 girls in rotation for this game.
It's just definitely depth. Like, we had 2 guards coming off the bench for us, so it was definitely depth. I mean, everyone stepped up, so they did their part. Like, my shooters knocked down their shots, so we weren't lacking there, but it was definitely the depth.
Well, Coach, one thing in regards to depth that we've seen, we've talked about it a bunch of times before, is just down low. And in this game, you actually limited Sloan's minutes to 22. Did that have to do with what you knew was coming up the next night against Duluth?
No, I think Sloan limited her minutes to 22 with a couple of early fouls, and then just when we're trying to get in that comeback mode, when we do get down, a lot of times it's a small lineup that we're able to try to extend the floor a little bit. So we certainly try to win every game, and obviously we'll always try to win the Friday night game first. So it wasn't anything on our part. It was just who we thought was going to give us the best chance to win. Also, like we said, dealing with some foul trouble, which at this point in time is really a tough thing for us to deal with just because of the lack of depth that we have, especially on the interior.
And we saw that a little bit more in the Duluth game. But before we get to that, Hannah, 4-game losing skid here once you guys lost this one to St. Cloud. Saturday night games are always tough, just the second game of the weekend. But what was the mindset of the team going into this one, kind of knowing that you really needed and wanted to come out with a win?
I think it was really important for us to get that win on Saturday, like you said, just to break that losing streak. And I think it also helps. We had a pretty good crowd there because it was alumni weekend, and I think a lot of us know some of those girls and stuff. And I think we wanted to go out there and play for them too and just kind of get our season back on track.
Absolutely, and the Marauders definitely put on a good show for the alumni on Saturday. Let's take a look at those highlights against Duluth. Well, Dani Williams, she started off this one strong for the Marauders. She hit her second 3 of the game within the first 2.5 minutes, and the Marauders go up 8-5. And Sloan Turner, she was really working down low in this one. Gets the ball on the block, a force to be reckoned with, 16 points and 18 rebounds. Hugh Mary goes up 19-16 on the foul shot. Turner gets the rebound, gets it out to Gabby Wilkinson, who finds a wide open Rachel Weir in transition for the bucket. Coach, you guys were really pushing the ball in both games this weekend. It seemed like you were playing a little bit more into your guard strength of running the floor.
Well, considering that was 7 of the 8 girls that we played in the game were guards, I figured it was about time we maybe looked to do that. But, you know, we talk about it. We want to push the ball naturally all the time, but we also know that if we're going to be able to defend the way we need to, that Sloan needs to play too. So we're just kind of struggling to find the right tempo to play with only one true post.
Well, the Bulldogs would make a comeback and take a 2-point lead, but Brittany Dietz ties it up at 37 on that backdoor cut. Duluth would be up 2 at the half, and in the second, it would continue to be a very close game. Taylor Meyer, second leading scorer in the Northern Sun, and she hits the 3 there, but the Marauders were still up 1. Haley Hibbs, she's going to drive in and pop one up. That one's no good, but Sloan Turner gets the board, and that puts the Marauders up 3, 55-52. Great ball movement in this game by the Marauders results in a wide open Hibbs on the wing. She knocks down the 3 to put them up 4 with just over 10 minutes to go. And then another key contributor for Hugh Mary in this game, Hannah Larson. She gets the jumper in the lane, and that will put Hugh Mary up 10. Taylor Meyer would answer for the Bulldogs. She gets the layup and 1 here. Made the foul shot to make it 73-66, but the Bulldogs could not stop the Marauders in this game. Hugh Mary coming out with a win, 83-72 over Duluth. Sloan Turner and Hannah Larson both finishing with double-doubles. Very impressive night for all the girls on the Marauders. Dani Williams had 14 points and Brittany Dietz had 22. Now, Dani, this was definitely a team win. One of the most unselfish games I think I've seen, and you guys are pretty much always unselfish. A lot of ball movement, a lot of motion in your guys' offense. How did you guys execute so well in this game?
I think a big part of it is a lot like what Hannah said, the alumni weekend. Newman had a great beginning speech before the game, and it got us really motivated. We love the program that we play for. We love the girls, and we just wanted to go out there and play our best for the people that played before us and the people who put the program together. So, I mean, a lot of us girls after the game talked about how we felt like it was more of a team than ever before. We had a lot of fun. No one was selfish, and it was just a good feeling. So.
Yeah, you guys can tell you're having a lot of fun on the court, especially when you come out with a W. And Hannah, you and Sloan pretty much the only ones down low, so you're looked not only to score, but also rebounding is a big one. You out-rebounded Duluth 51-36 as a team. What did you have to do down low in regards to that?
I think, well, rebounding, we kind of been focusing on that a lot because at the beginning we kind of did struggle, but I think we've improved a lot, and they did have a little bit of size on us, so when we did have to switch to the zone, I think we started to rebound a lot better out of our zone as well.
Well, Coach, we talked a little bit before about foul trouble being an issue. How did that affect this game down the stretch, especially when you had a couple girls with 4 fouls?
Right, it really did. I have to give our staff a lot of credit while I was trying to figure out what play we were going to run, or maybe how the game flow was going to change, what we needed to do on both ends. They were kind of trying to match the minutes and when we could steal some people with a break, trying to get a sub right before a media timeout so that they could get a little extra break, because we did have a number of players with 4 fouls at one point. We ended up with the one girl that fouled out. So again, a lot of credit has to go to the staff. as far as managing who was going to play when. And I thought not only with the players talking about a team win, but certainly a lot of credit again goes to my staff.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today on Marauders Weekly. And the Marauders are at home next weekend, taking on Augustana and Wayne State. Well, don't go anywhere. Coming up, we will hear from the men's team about their weekend at home and their alumni weekend.
If you're a sports fan, you know there's only one team to watch for local sports coverage. KFYR TV's Lee Timmerman, Marissa DiCandido, and Isaac Berkey are on the court and in the studio, shining the spotlight on the coaches and players taking their teams to the top. Watch the evening and night reports as Lee, Marissa, and Isaac catch all your local sports action on KFYR TV, your sports leader.
Welcome to Toyota.
I've got a conference call in 15, but I'm looking for something reliable, stylish, lots of technology. Give me the elevator pitch, go.
Well, there's the new 2015 Toyota Camry. It's got a bold new redesign, plus available Qi wireless charging capability.
Sold. Wow, you should be a professional spokesperson.
I'll look into that.
Lease a new 2015 Camry SE for $189 a month, or get 1.9% APR for 60 months plus $500 bonus cash on Camry.
It all starts at Toyota. Let's go places.
Welcome back to Marauders Weekly. Well, we're switching gears now from women's to men's basketball. As always, we have head coach Jevin Buddy, and today joining us, we have junior Jacob Velasco. So, Jacob, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, Coach, what was your message this week going into the weekend? Because it's been an interesting trend so far in 2015. Friday night games have not gone so well, but Saturday night has 3-0 on Saturdays going into this weekend.
Yeah, they have. I mean, in December, I mean, we were obviously close in quite a few games and couldn't get over the hump. And then so far this year, in January, we're playing 500 basketball, and which is good to see us putting some complete games together. But we're just trying to build on minutes that we play on Saturday into Friday night to try to get 2 in a weekend. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to do that. So the message this week was just stringing it together and trying to be more consistent.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jacob, reaching this kind of pivotal halfway point of the season, but you guys had, going into this weekend, had your next 4 games at home. How does that help to know that you'll be at home in front of your fans and playing for the Marauders community?
I think it helps a little bit just because it's home court. Everybody shoots better at home. Everybody plays better. We practice there all week, and then normally we would leave for the weekend and then have to get reacclimated to a new gym, new hoops. But I think it helps because we'll have 2 full weeks of practice at home, and we won't have to worry about anything going wrong in the other gyms.
Mm-hmm. Well, we definitely saw the shooting well this weekend, and let's start with the game on Friday night against St. Cloud State. Well, the Marauders were down 3, but DeMonte Henry tied it up at 10 on the 3-ball. Henry was one of 5 Marauders who finished in double-digit points. And then Jacob Velasco in the corner. The 3 is good. Marauders only down 5 in this game. They were hanging in there in the first half. Brian Jefferson along the baseline. He gets the bucket and 1, but couldn't sink the free throw. Huskies up 8, and it's Henry from the elbow. No good, but Jermaine DeCoste slams that one home. Huskies leading 40-34, and they had a 5-point lead at the half, but the Marauders would start to close the gap. Velasco once again pops out to hit the 3. Coach, how much of an advantage is it to have a player like Jacob who can set that high screen and then either roll to the basket or pop out and shoot?
No, it's huge. I mean, obviously, a strength of Jacob's is being able to pick and pop, and we set a lot of ball screens in our offense. And if you have guards that can play in ball screens, but if you have bigs that can't space the floor, then it's kind of irrelevant. So it's really big that Jacob's able to do that, be inside and out.
Absolutely. Well, there's DeMonte Henry hitting a 3, and the Marauders only down 1, but they had 3 problems in the second half, and he was one of them. Donnell Seegers takes to the foul line, pulls up for 2. He finished with 25 points, but then Chris Mason knocks down a short jumper. Marauders still down 1, and then in transition, another good find here from Luke Scott. He had the assist on the last bucket, has the assist again here. Brian Jefferson makes it 72-77. Another guy causing trouble for the Marauders, though, Jordan Poydras. He goes hard. and 1. He finished with 27 points. Marauders trying to stay in it. Jermaine DeCoste gets that one on the block. They pull within 7, but they could not overcome the Huskies in this game. St. Cloud State coming out on top by a score of 96-88. Despite the loss, one of the improvements was the Marauders' ability to come back after being down, and DeMonte Henry explained how they've gotten better at that aspect of the game throughout the season.
The difference was just pretty much sharing the ball, moving it instead of just being stagnant on offense. We just sharing the ball, trying to make plays for one another instead of for ourselves.
Well, Coach, I think one of the issues that we saw in this game was foul shooting. And, you know, it might not see how that affects the game, especially if you're not shooting those foul shots right down the stretch, but 57% from the line, only took 14 free throws in the game. How does that affect a game like this?
You know what, it's big to try to be a little bit more aggressive and get to the foul line. I mean, sometimes we settle for that 15-footer a little bit too much, but even to turn that around, not necessarily us on the offensive end free throw line. I thought we put them on the free throw line way too much to start the game. I mean, we had them in double bonus, and I think it was we just didn't come out ready to go and weren't moving our feet, and we had probably about 3-4 calls where we were using our hands too much. So that was probably bigger, but definitely when we have an opportunity to make them, they're obviously very important.
Well, Jacob, there was 3 guys on St. Cloud who had over 25 points. What was the problem for you guys defensively, especially covering those 3?
They have a lot of good pieces and a lot of good places on the court positioned wise, and they knew how to move the ball. So we'd work on 1 or 2 help side D, and then they'd get us on that 3rd side, the 4th side, and it's just hard to move when you're trying to cover as many pieces as they had on the court at each time.
Well, we see this trend developing for the Marauders. Friday night coming out with the loss, but hopefully being able to rebound on Saturday like they have in the past. So let's take a look at the highlights from Saturday night against Minnesota Duluth. A close game early on, and that's when Jacob Velasco backs down his man and ties it up at 17 with a jumper, and from there the Marauders would break this game open. Chris Mason, later on, he's going to find Isaac Lindquist, who puts it up, draws the foul, and would make it an old-fashioned 3-point play to put the Marauders up 4. But the big threat for the Bulldogs was Brett Irvin, a great player for them. The layup is good, but UMary was still up 11 at this point, and they would just keep on rolling. Velasco, nice pass inside of Jermaine DeCoste. Up and in makes it 36-23. UMary was up 42-25 at the half, but in the second, Duluth would come alive. Pierre Newton knocks in a layup. That would be the start of a 28-12 run. Coach, you guys were playing fantastic defense in the first half. What happened here in the second?
You know what, just probably about the first 8 minutes. I mean, they came out and we didn't have an answer for them, then driving it at us. And in the first half, I thought we did a great job of keeping them in front. And then even that play right there, we didn't do a good enough job of containing the basketball, especially in transition. But just another stretch where we disappear for a while defensively, and that's kind of been our Achilles heel. So it really hurt us letting them get back in the game.
But I think one difference that we saw this weekend, as DeMonte talked about before, was your guys' ability to stay in it and come out on top. Well, in this one, it was Velasco who would have the hot hand all night, but here Jermaine DeCoste puts in the rebound, and that would tie it up at 61. And Velasco later on pops out once again, hits the 3. That would give the Marauders a huge momentum swing, a 3-point lead, 64-61. The Huskies would manage to tie it up once again, but Q Edwards really seals it with the 3 ball from the corner, 71-68. And the Bulldogs, they had one last chance at the end to maybe come out on top of this game, but Panetta throws it away, and UMary comes out with a win. They hold on to take this game by a score of 75-71. Jacob Velasco finishing with a season-high 24 points. A couple other Marauders in double digits. Q Edwards with 14. Jermaine DeCoste had 11. And after the game, talked to DeCoste a little bit about how the Marauders were able to come back after Duluth's big run.
We know we wanted this one. Coach tells us that there's like 3 runs in the game, so we made sure we had to win the 3rd one, just buck down and play defense and make sure they didn't get no shots up.
Well, continuing the streak, winning on Saturdays, I guess you can't really complain about a win. So, Jacob, I think one of the biggest things in this game that we saw was a lot of mental toughness from you guys. What kept you guys in it in the second half?
Just the fact that we didn't want to squander a 17-point lead. I mean, we came out extremely well, extremely aggressive in the first half, and we built a lead, and we just knew that had kind of been our forte all year, was to kind of just get a lead or be a close game, and then, like Coach said, there's runs and they make a run. We kind of put our head down, and, you know, stuff's not going our way, so we kind of just check out. But we knew tonight it's home. We wanted to try to keep as much home court advantage as we could, so we just decided to buckle down and just play strong and aggressive as much as we could.
And I think the crowd was really into this game, and I'm sure that helped a lot. But Coach, one of the things that going into this one, you had talked a little bit about before the game, they didn't play a lot of guys off the bench. They had a pretty short rotation, but still in this game, bench points for you guys, outscoring them 40-0. That's an insane difference. Obviously, most of that coming from Jacob's 24, but how did that make a difference in this game?
No, it's huge. I mean, we knew they were thin and not playing a lot of guys, and Jacob, for him to come in and do what he was able to do was very big. Brett Irvin's obviously a very talented player. He's been a good player in our league for a long time, but we wanted to make him guard, and Jacob came in and was ready to go, to his credit, and we kept feeding him the ball, and he kept making great plays. But then also going back to our bench, Isaac Lindquist came in and played quality minutes for us off the bench. So I didn't know it was 40-0, but definitely like seeing that. But credit to our guys.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today on Marauders Weekly. As we said before with the women, the Marauders are back at the MAC this weekend facing Augustana and Wayne State. Well, don't go anywhere. Coming up, we get an inside look at what it's like to be a UMary student athlete, a day in the life with women's basketball player Rachel Weir. That's coming up.
Hi, I'm Steve Schwann of Schwann Buick GMC Cadillac. I'd like to invite you to tune in to KFYR TV every Monday night during the evening and night report for the Schwann Buick GMC Sports Honor Roll. Each week we'll highlight local athletes who have demonstrated exceptional accomplishments and abilities on the field, on the mat, or on the court. So watch the Schwann Buick GMC Cadillac Sports Honor Roll Mondays on the evening and night reports on KFYR TV.
It's time for another great run for the KMOT Ag Expo, January 28th through 30th in Minot. Once again, West Dakota Chevy is proud to be on board with Chevrolet, the official truck of the KMOT Ag Expo. Stop by the West Dakota Chevy display and see what's new for 2015. Find new roads with tough Chevy trucks. KMOT and West Dakota Chevy, proud to partner up for the KMOT Ag Expo, January 28th through 30th on the North Dakota State Fairgrounds in Minot.
Welcome back to Marauders Weekly. Well, University of Mary students are already busy enough with classes, jobs, extracurriculars, but when you add a sport to the mix, it can be even harder to juggle everything. I talked to Rachel Weir from the women's basketball team to find out what a day in the life is like for a UMary student athlete.
Hi, I'm Rachel Weir, and this is a day in the life of a student athlete here at UMary. Well, we have lab once a week for anatomy and kinesiology, which is different than like the anatomy and phys. And then we have like 3 or 4 theory classes, and they kind of just teach about like the ethics behind occupational therapy, the rules that we follow while we're in OT, and just different things like that. Occupational therapy is just like helping you do your daily activities. If you can't do them or something happens or you're born, and so like it makes dressing harder or something like that, so you teach alternative ways of like dressing or eating or walking or just kind of doing day-to-day things. For me, the hardest part is just making sure I stay organized. It's not something that really comes naturally to me. I have to be like, okay, now I have to take my planner out after this class and write this down and write the games down. I really like how we're all kind of like friends and like close and stuff. We're young, so it's kind of fun thinking that we have 3 more years, 2 more years with like the majority of the team. Also, we're just kind of like tweaking things that like are already in and just like kind of adding more to what works best and what doesn't work.
A big thank you to Rachel Weir for letting us shoot that story with her on her birthday, nonetheless. Well, coming up, he's one of the most energetic guys on the men's basketball team. We introduce you to one of the seniors in this week's Meet a Marauder.
I've had a lot of Hondas.
We went around the country talking to people who made the switch to Ford.
I loved the look of the Fusion. We test drove it. I was like, this is my car. The all-wheel drive is amazing. I felt so secure.
You can do it, Emmy! EcoBoost is when you can take a 4-cylinder and make it feel like a 6-cylinder.
I drove the Fusion and I never went back.
Now get up to $2,500 cash back or lease a Fusion with sync and sound for just $189 a month. Only at your local Northland Ford dealer.
I come to Active Life because I have headaches. In the past, they were major headaches. My eyesight would be blurring one of my eyes. And when I come to Active Life, they adjust me and the headaches go away within 15 minutes, and immediately my eyesight would come back. So I feel so much better after a treatment.
Active Life Chiropractic, 255-4241. Remember, it's your life. Be there, healthy.
We're back on Marauders Weekly. Well, every team has a player that gets everybody pumped up and keeps that energy going throughout a game. And for the men's basketball team, that guy is usually Chad Newell. We caught up with the senior in this week's Meet a Marauder.
Favorite family tradition for me would probably be opening presents on Christmas Eve at midnight. My brother and his girlfriend comes over, whole family's there. We just open up all our presents at midnight. It's kind of like a Latin American tradition since my dad's from Peru. Funniest teammate, probably Q Edwards. This guy, he's a big influence on all of us. He's a hilarious guy. He's always mumbling. You never understand what he says, but it's just hilarious when he speaks. So. I would have to say probably The Notebook. You know, in high school, you know, watching The Notebook. Brought some tears in my eyes at the end when they're laying in the bed and, you know, about to die with each other, so yeah. You probably already know I like electronic music. That's what I'm always playing on the bus. So, you know, I'd have to play some Calvin Harris, some David Guetta, maybe some LMFAO. Any songs by any of them would be great. Last night I had my girlfriend over and her roommate over, and I made some barbecue chicken and some pasta with shell noodle pasta with cheese sauce all over it. I can cook whatever, but chicken's probably my specialty. Favorite athlete right now would have to be Russell Wilson, Seattle Seahawks, since I am from Seattle. Go Seahawks. He perseveres. He has a very strong faith in what he believes in, and he stands by what he believes in, and is very courageous young man who I would like to be like someday. Favorite part about being a Marauder is everything, the whole experience. I'm just blessed to be here. Thank you for Coach Buddy and Coach Flora for giving me this opportunity. I love traveling. I love being a part of the community, and I'm going to miss this when I'm done.
Who loves being a Marauder. Well, let's take a look at some of the other sports results from the weekend. The University of Mary wrestling team fell to Mankato 24-12. Wins came from Hunter Menendez, Dane Fisher, Riley Nagel, and Travis Smith. In that one on Friday, they headed to 6th-ranked Upper Iowa and got shut out 45-0. The track team, indoor track and field, also in action this weekend. At the Jim Emmerich Alumni Invitational at South Dakota State on the women's side, Lexi Zeiss finished second in the mile. Brianna Lynch was third in the 800. The 4x4 relay team also finished third. Cassandra Jones fourth in the 400. Crystal Hovland fourth in the 600. Some other results: Tony Pandoe was fifth in the 60-meter hurdles. Danielle Kurichak was fourth in the triple jump, fifth in the long jump. On the men's side, it was Max Hager and Adam Chabula coming in fourth and fifth respectively in the 600 meters, and Nathan Inkman finishing fifth in the 800. Well, thanks so much for joining me today on Marauders Weekly. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you for watching Marauders Weekly. Join us next Sunday as we showcase more Marauders athletics from home and away in Marauders Weekly, exclusively on NBC North Dakota Sports.